Look at a crested gecko, and you see a famously goofy, wide-eyed little reptile. It looks like it hasn't had a single complex thought. But beneath that exterior, a microscopic war can rage inside their lungs. These geckos are frequently marketed as easy, low-maintenance beginner pets, a reputation that ignores just how sensitive their internal biology is to the air around them. The glass enclosure isn't just a cage. It functions as a highly calibrated artificial biosphere, replicating a specific tropical ecosystem to keep the animal's organs functioning. When those environmental parameters slip, the habitat stops being a sanctuary and starts acting as an incubator, fueling a biological attack on the gecko's own immune system. This gauge illustrates strict humidity. Air moisture must lock between 60 and 80%. Any spike or drop is hazardous. But humidity isn't enough. The enclosure requires a thermal gradient, a warm zone and a cool zone, allowing the gecko to regulate body heat. To keep that system stable, the warm, wet environment has to stay impeccably clean to hold natural, opportunistic pathogens at bay. A slight dip in temperature, or a few days of dry air, is enough to trigger a lethal biological cascade. When a terrarium's temperature drops, or the humidity falls out of range, the gecko's body goes into immediate physiological distress. Because they rely on their environment to power their biology, this external stress directly suppresses their white blood cells, leaving their immune defenses wide open. Looking at this cross-section of the gecko's airway, you can see how the protective mucosal barrier shrinks in response to that stress. This exposes the vulnerable tissue, allowing the naturally occurring bacteria and fungi in the tank to attach and rapidly duplicate. At this point, the habitat has inverted its purpose. It is no longer supporting life. It is manufacturing a threat to the host. The first indications of a system crash are often found in the gecko's personality. They stop eating, they drop weight rapidly, and they become strangely lethargic, refusing to move from their hiding spots. Soon, the distress becomes mechanical. The gecko might sit with its neck raised at an awkward angle to straighten its airway, or its throat will puff out as it tries to clear the internal blockages. As the infection spreads, the physical signs become harder to ignore. Clear or colored mucus leaks from the nostrils. The eyes appear sunken from dehydration, and thick, excess saliva begins to pool in the mouth. Eventually, the airway narrows so much that you can hear audible wheezing or clicking sounds. The gecko will cling to a branch, taking deep, heavy, labored breaths with its mouth gaping open, just to get oxygen into its lungs. By the time the gecko is gasping for air, its body has lost the internal war. Without immediate medical intervention, the infection will continue to advance until the animal can no longer breathe. The non-negotiable next step is consulting an exotic veterinarian for a professional diagnosis and a treatment plan. Correcting the tank's environment at this stage only prevents the problem from getting worse. It does nothing to clear the massive colony of bacteria already established in the lungs. Defeating a respiratory invasion requires a medical counterattack, specifically through prescribed antibiotics or antifungal medications. This intervention is the only thing preventing the gecko from suffocating. While the medication fights the infection, you must simultaneously fix the environmental breach that caused the crash, or the illness will return the moment the treatment ends. As shown in this split-screen layout, use precise digital tools to verify metrics. Your hygrometer must read between 60 and 80% humidity, and thermometers must confirm a warm zone of 78 to 82 degrees, tapering to a cool zone of 70 to 75. You must enforce strict sanitation protocols. This means spot cleaning waste daily and executing a weekly deep clean to eliminate any lingering pathogens. Finally, provide plenty of hiding spots and minimize handling. Stress further suppresses the fragile immune system, so the animal needs total stillness to focus its energy on recovery. Keeping a crested gecko alive means mastering this invisible microclimate. Maintaining those numbers and staying alert to the first sign of a shift is the fundamental responsibility of keeping these animals healthy.